power of super speed, especially at the level of someone like the Flash, there are a lot of surprising extra benefits. I'm Adam Andrews with Top 10 Nerd, and this is the top 10 superpowers that you didn't know the Flash had. Coming in at number 10, he's immune to continuity changes. Barry Allen can run faster than the speed of light, and yet what is arguably his most impressive accomplishment is becoming completely immune to the DC Universe's many continuity changes. As an example of what I mean, in the Flashpoint story, Barry is the only one who remembered the previous version of the DC Universe while in the wildly different timeline that he found himself in. It's not just Barry though. When Wally West, the fastest Flash, re-emerged from the Speed Force in the DC Rebirth era, he was the only one who remembered the pre-New 52 world that the rest of the DCU forgot about. The Speed Force has always enabled the Flashes to do amazing things, and one of the major things it has done is allowed speedsters to step completely outside of time. The ability to be unaffected by continuity changes is an added benefit of that. It makes the Flash and the speedsters the only living authorities within the DCU who know what their universe is supposed to look like. Number 9. Telepathic immunity. When someone moves their body at a speed so fast that they begin to live in the moments between moments, their minds would also have to move at such astronomical speeds. And the Flash's mind definitely does indeed move that fast. Thank the Lord the Speed Force doesn't just push the physical. Barry Allen's brain's computational enhancements do a lot for him, and I'll be talking about a good number of those things later on. But one thing that having a mind that moves just so insanely fast is that speedsters are all heavily resistant to mind control and mental attacks. If you think about this, it just kinda makes sense. If someone uses their telepathic brain at the normal human speed, any move they try to make against someone like Barry Allen or Wally West would be done at a snail's pace in comparison to their brains that are essentially moving thousands of times faster and seeing things many moves ahead. Coming in at number 8, it's the speed aura. One of the main reasons that a speedster like Barry Allen or Wally West can't exist in the real world is, well, because if anyone moved that fast in real life, it would actually destroy the Earth, but also because there's a thing called friction. When we move fast enough, friction can occur from even just the air. If you are moving as fast as a speedster and you have no speed force or some kind of durability enhancement, then by the time you get where you're going, you probably wouldn't have much in the way of skin or muscles anymore. And that goes double for anyone you may be carrying / trying to save. Well, thanks to the Speed Force, speedsters actually gain an aura that basically negates that whole issue. The aura, which grows the faster Flash is moving, allows in enough air and wind to keep him cool, but it blocks all debris and air friction that could hurt the speedster or anyone he's carrying. He's essentially surrounded by a quote friction cushion of kinetic absorbent energy that protects from the rigorous effects of using such insane speeds. Outside of friction, this also protects from airborne particulate matter, heavy impacts, and even G-force. Number 7. Microsleeps. Remember how I said the Flash basically thinks as fast as he runs? Well, what if I told you he also sleeps as fast as he runs? More than that, what if I told you that he sleeps in the little in-between moments that he is fighting bad guys? Now, of course, when the Flash is facing off against Reverse Flash, other speedsters, the Legion of Doom, or any major threat, the Flash is all hands on deck, red alert, focused. But when he's out there doing the daily superhero grind and battling it out with some random petty criminals, Flash can take it easy and relax a little bit more than other people can, and that is when he has his micro naps. Taking place in the literal picoseconds, which is 1/1,000,000th of a second, the Flash can and does take cat naps that help keep him focused during a fight and well rested at all times. That explains why we never really see them sleeping at all. Number 6. Electromagnetism. One of the more curious aspects of Barry Allen's Speed Force abilities is that it gives him some degree of electrokinesis. He can generate lightning and electrical attacks and discharges, and is actually quite the potent ability, with his lightning being able to travel through water and disrupt magic. But due to his electrical abilities, Barry is also able to manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum to some extent. And the biggest example of this is him getting his entire supersuit into his ring. The heat from Barry's lightning creates a thermal expansion that allows Barry's suit to be stored in his ring. Every time he releases his suit from his ring, the pieces of it are conducted by lightning to form the suit around him. He manipulates electromagnetism to mentally control the pieces that form, specifically though, his mask, and can cause the mask to construct over his face and even retract back on his command. So while that is a small example of electromagnetism, knowing that Barry can use his lightning to create electromagnetic fields means that it really only takes one story for the Flash to become a scary fast Magneto.
Halfway through into number 5, amnesia kisses. This also explains quite a lot. In the 1980 film Superman 2, an intriguing aspect of Superman's powers is revealed. Through his kisses, apparently he has the ability to selectively erase memories from another person's mind. In a memorable scene, Clark Kent, portrayed by Christopher Reeves, uses this power to make Lois Lane forget the events of the entire movie. The connection between kissing and memory manipulation is left unexplained. The film doesn't really delve into the mechanics of the ability because it only uses it once and then no one ever mentions it again, but I'd be convinced that it just kinda helps his mind control thing, because when you're kissing someone, you're in quite a vulnerable place. Nevertheless, the outcome is questionable, and Superman's kisses have the power to alter and remove memories apparently, but it serves a narrative purpose and kind of serves a narrative purpose. It's used to resolve certain story elements, but like, I don't know, it keeps Clark's identity secret from Lois, but like, what the hell? In at 4, Super Dance. Superman's abilities also extend beyond super strength. He has demonstrated finesse and grace on the dance floor when the situation demands it. In a display of his versatile skills, he utilized his strength and smooth moves to create vibrations, effectively disarming a set of concealed bombs. Remarkably, he accomplished this feat without attracting attention or compromising his secret identity, which is why he was doing the dance, because he didn't want to reveal that he was Superman, but still, it's an unexpected combination of power and dancing that actually kind of showcases Superman's adaptability and resourcefulness. Like, he was harnessing his strength and translating it into dance moves, and used that to generate the necessary vibrations to neutralize hidden bombs. Like, it allows him to maintain his cover, and he handled the dangerous situation discreetly. But God, that's... Getting close to the end, into number 3, Symbol Toss. Superman 2, yet again one of the standout Superman films, does introduce some peculiar scenes. Like I said before, you know, the whole kissing thing. But in this movie, General Zod and his cohorts, Non and Ursa, attempt to conquer the world, leading to an intense battle in Fortress of Solitude. During the confrontation though, Superman surprises everyone by tearing the emblem off his suit and hurling it at Non, naring the Kryptonian in like a cellophane trap. The fact that you're able to use the symbol in such a manner is just one of the most surreal and possibly even debated moments in Superman lore, especially because he throws it, but like in that scene the symbol is still on his chest. The mechanics of it remain ambiguous, and that's probably for the best, but I don't know, it looks like it's made out of plastic, but also it's freaking cling film, and then it gains strength enough to detain Non, and then it just vanishes when he's done with it. I don't know where they were going with that one, but hey, if it works, it works. But ultimately, into number 2, Magic Glasses. In a peculiar turn of events depicted in 1978's Superman number 330, it's revealed that Superman's Kryptonian biology, when combined with the glass of his eyeglasses, possesses the uncanny ability to hypnotize individuals, making them perceive Clark Kent as an entirely different person, distinct from the Man of Steel. That's why he doesn't need to change his whole face. This unique power could also be referred to as like secret identity vision. However, as this storyline involving the magic glasses and their hypnotic effects didn't really gain much traction because, I mean, the explanation was kind of unnecessary and didn't really make sense. It quickly faded into obscurity because of that, being rarely mentioned or revisited. And then to further distance it, the Crisis on Infinite Earths Absolute Edition provided a comprehensive overview of the multiverse, explicitly designating this story as taking place on an alternate Earth. But it was still a thing. It was still a thing in the main canon for a while, and explains why he didn't didn't need to change his face. And finally, in at number 1, caller ID. Superman once possessed an ability that can only be described as both a secret and utterly useless. Through use of his telepathic powers, the Man of Steel showcased the capacity to identify callers on the other end of a telephone line. In today's world where caller ID is a standard feature, this power is completely obsolete. It's like akin a slingshot to kill Darkseid. It held some relevance during that time because technology was less advanced. There was no caller ID, and telepathic feats actually seemed like it made sense, but as the world progressed and communication tech evolved, didn't really need it anymore. In at 10, shape-shifting face. Superman possesses an incredible level of control over all of his muscles, which at one point allowed him to alter the shape of his face and even transform his entire body. The remarkable ability is showcased in Action Comics number 55 and several other Golden Age stories, but in his early adventures, Superman used this power to assume various disguises, such as mimicking disgraced athletes or adopting the appearance of extraterrestrial creatures. Given the extent of the shape-shifting ability though, it raises the question, why would he choose to conceal his identity with glasses when he's able to transform his entire being? But the answer to that question is complicated. While Superman's shape-shifting ability grants him remarkable disguise potential, he primarily relies on Clark Kent to protect the identity. But the real reason behind how this is so effective will be explained in a minute. And at 9, explosion containment. In the Flashpoint paradox, Superman joins forces with the Flash and other heroes to rescue him from Professor Zoom and Rogues. As Zoom threatens to destroy Central City with powerful bombs attached to Flash and the other rogues, the heroes come up with a plan. They split up, each taking a rogue and moving to defuse the bombs at a safe distance. Superman takes on Heatwave and positions him at a cliff. With his superhuman strength, Superman just grabs the bomb and covers it with his bare hands and then contains the explosion. The rest of Team Flash defuses the bomb successfully and saves Flash, but Superman's just like, I got this, don't worry, boom! It's impressive, but I mean yeah, it would make sense, but also the fact that you had to hold your hands together hella hard for that to not leak out the sides, that's impressive. That's a power in and of itself. In at 8, Master Builder. This is where it starts getting weird. In the 1987 film Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, there is a scene where Nuclear Man damages the Great Wall of China. Upon witnessing the destruction, Superman merely gazes at the debris, and within moments, the wall is miraculously restored. This power is often overlooked, but yeah, Superman is able to repair objects or structures just by looking at them, like a master builder from the Lego movie. The reason why this is actually a thing is not really understood. It's very, very specific, so it's literally never mentioned again. Because I mean, also, the Great Wall of China is not really part of Superman's daily patrol. While he protects the world from imminent threats, he can also cut the union workers' time in half. So there you go. Maybe that's something to look out for, government. The unique power of just rebuilding objects through looking at them is just so dumb. But again, it would have been useful in the Lego Batman movie. Bruce could have used your help there, Soups. Also, it just clicked that the Lego movie is canon in the Spider-Verse now, which means that we have yet another link between Marvel and DC. In at 7, mind control. In a daring series of events, in Superman number 45 from 1947, the alien race known as the Collectors unleashes their power of invisibility to disrupt a boxing match and abduct Biff the Unbeatable. Their audacity continues as they capture atomic scientist John Henders during a crucial presentation, followed by the abduction of a beauty contest participant and judge, Lois Lane, and then finally, millionaire Herkimer Ingot falls victim to their grasp within the confines of his own damn home. Superman ends up getting captured or lets himself get captured because during his imprisonment, he uses his telepathic abilities to coerce his captors into revealing the device that grants them interdimensional travel. He then uses this to break free from his cell, turns himself into a collector. So with the aid of that dimension hopping device, Superman transports himself to the third dimension. He then also destroys the machine, ensuring the collector's abduction thing comes to an end. And at 6, self-cloning. In the pages of 1958 Superman number 125, an unusual encounter with an alien ship leads to the loss of Superman's usual powers. Instead, he discovers 2 peculiar nuclear abilities, the power to emit rainbow beams from his fingertips, and the ability to create a miniature version of himself from the palm of his hand. While the rainbow beams had their limitations, Superman relied heavily on his little clones to perform tasks requiring his usual strength. It comes as no surprise that Superman does eventually get his powers back. Superman found little reason after that to really use the rainbow beams and his mini-me. It's reasonable to assume that he could also keep these powers. Why would you rely on those when you can use frickin' heat vision? The fact that they only really showed up once does like limit their use, their functionality, and the fact that no one frickin' remembers it.
Number 5. Healing. In the comics, there was a time when Aquaman lost his left hand, and funnily enough, this actually managed to make him even cooler and or stronger in a few different ways. To make up for his lost appendage, he got himself a wide variety of alternate hands, each with different benefits. He has had a cybernetic hand with a retractable hook, as well as a hand made out of liquid metal. But I think his most notable hand was a special one made out of water, courtesy of the Lady of the Lake, called the Water Bearer's Hand. This hand was what allowed Aquaman to create freezing or scalding jets of water from his hands and dehydrate fools, but it has even more nifty benefits beyond that. Thanks to his magical water hand, Aquaman has received the ability to completely heal others with its magical properties. But then, there's also that nifty life force connection. This has allowed Aquaman to even restore fallen gods into their divine forms and retrieve the essences of dead gods, meaning Aquaman has not only resurrection abilities, but also resurrection that extends to godly entities themselves. Number 4. Portals. Let's jump back to that magic hand here for a second. The Water Bearer hand bestowed on Aquaman numerous magical abilities. Now we've talked about a bunch, but the hand seems to be the gift that keeps on giving. Another attribute it granted to Aquaman was the ability to open interdimensional portals. Obviously, as we've proven so far, Aquaman is no slouch, but he isn't really that helpful when it comes to extraterrestrial threats that require him to venture out of this world. For that, he would traditionally need the help of his other League members, but with the Water Bearer hand's magic, that was no longer the case. Now he could travel great distances across the world in an instant and even out into the wider universe or even other dimensions. Needless to say, the Lady of the Lake really lent Aquaman a hand with this gift. Pun intended. Number 3. Flight. This power has actually been a hotly contested point among fans of Aquaman for a long time. A lot of people believe that Aquaman cannot fly, and they are actually partially right. Honestly, there isn't really a need for him to fly. Being an aquatic character, it seems almost pointless, and there is also the question of how he would even be able to break gravity like that. Although you could ask that of any flying character, honestly. I think the confusion really comes from the fact that Aquaman does often perform super jumping to get around. I'm talking he jumps miles in single bounds, similar to the Hulk. That is easy to mistake for actual flying, and for a long time that was the extent of his airborne abilities. But luckily for Aquaman, he has a pretty good relationship with the god of the sea, Poseidon, and thanks to that Olympian's blessing, Aquaman gained the actual ability to fly in the Prime Earth post-Flashpoint DC universe. Unsurprisingly though, he still doesn't really use it that much. Number 2. Water Wraith. JLA The Obsidian Age was a story from 2003 which, among other things, involved Aquaman and Atlantis being sent 3,000 years back in time, where they were ultimately put under the thumb of the League of Ancients. As we would almost all expect, the Justice League discovered the disappearance and they go to the rescue, traveling back in time to save their comrade and his people. When they arrive, they learn that the sorceress Gamamemini, whose name I likely savagely butchered just now, had trapped Aquaman's consciousness in a pool of water. Now, after freeing the rest of the Atlanteans, the Justice League launched their final assault on this sorceress to no avail as she reappeared in the future. Now, in the future, or I guess the present, she attempted to take control of the world by causing a global drought. Now, in order to stop her, Zatanna channeled Aquaman's consciousness into the oceans. This means Aquaman, with this upgrade, literally became a living body of water, and he used this awesome water wraith power to defeat Gamamemini once and for all. But this isn't the only time he's taken on a form composed entirely of H2O. And finally, in at number 1, Super Strength. Super Strength is one of those things that most superheroes are just kind of expected to have. But not all super strength is equal, and characters have varying degrees of it. I think a lot of people who are familiar with the character of Aquaman but aren't his close fans may underestimate his strength. Again, we know Aquaman is often the butt of a lot of jokes related to his usefulness, but this guy is no slouch, not by a long shot. Aquaman is strong. He is more than strong enough to send Superman and Wonder Woman several dozen feet away with singular blows, which is nothing to scoff at. He has been capable of lifting a 160,000 ton sea liner barehanded and lifting and throwing a sunken cargo ship. But even more impressive than that is when he literally pushed an entire tectonic plate over the entrance to the trench's lair while underwater. Aquaman's strength is something that is often overlooked, kind of like how the character himself is overlooked much too often. Coming in at number 10, talking to fish. Look, almost everyone knows Aquaman as the guy who can talk to fish. It's the most common thing brought up when talking about the hero. But that statement is both a huge misunderstanding and only one small part of a much more interesting ability. Aquaman is not like the deep from The Boys. As far as we know, fish and marine life are not at the level of intelligence that allows them to hold conversations. They can't tell you how their day is going or try and maintain relationships with us, and honestly, why would they want to? We kinda suck. Aquaman is not actually talking to fish. Instead, Aquaman uses telepathy. He can hear the voice of the sea and communicate with its many denizens living within it, along with those who spring from it through empathic communication. While he is more than capable of using this ability to force marine beings to do what he wants, Aquaman prefers to telepathically suggest aquatic life towards his goal or out of harm's way in order to maintain their respect. This is something he has been able to do since he was a child, but it doesn't just pertain to aquatic life. Although he can't force humans or other creatures to do his bidding in the same way he can with the denizens of the sea, through his telepathy he is more than capable of weakening, probing, dominating, and attacking non-aquatic minds as well. And he's even used these abilities to boost up the power of his own teammates. Number 9. Accessing the clear. Prior to the New 52 reboot, Aquaman possessed the ability to tap directly into a force known as the clear. This primordial force is what binds all life in the sea and provides ocean-themed heroes with their superpowers. Thanks to his harnessing of the clear, Aquaman's awesome natural telepathy that we just talked about was augmented to a larger degree, allowing him to communicate with and summon sea creatures from the other side of the planet and send out telepathic broadcasts across the ocean. It even allowed him to form a universal consciousness with all life in the sea, enabling him to send his mind out to see through the eyes of sea life. Something interesting about this force is that, well, technically, all life at some point originated from the ocean. So, Aquaman can also push his telepathic powers to reach out to the higher land creatures to find that element of their brains that was once an aquatic dwelling creature and manipulate it. Now, post New 52, this connection to the clear has been altered slightly and is now known as a connection with the life force. The life force is one of the 7 forces of the universe, and for Aquaman, his connection to the life force is focused on marine life, and not just the marine life of Earth either. Through the life force, Arthur is connected to all living beings, which has enabled him to establish a supernatural link to any and all sentient entities throughout the entire cosmos. He can use this connection to determine a being's origin, as he was able to do when he determined that the Void Song came from an ocean planet after being in close contact with it. With the life force, a lot of his abilities are similar to the connection to the clear, with a whole bunch more still unknown even to Aquaman, which leaves some pretty exciting potential for his character and what powers he could possess in the future. Number 8. Night vision. Now, I don't know if you know, but the sea is deep, and a large majority of it is so far away from the surface that it's pretty much in a constant state of almost complete darkness. And even if it isn't, if it's nighttime or if we're looking through murky water, forget about it. You ain't seeing anything down there. It's estimated that the average human can see between 165 and 230 feet deep in moderately clear water. Well, for Aquaman, an Atlantean human hybrid, he once said that he could see clearly in depths as far down as 6,000 fathoms, aka 36,000 feet. That is insane. That includes seeing through the murkiest of waters. So, now, take that incredible supervision and put it on land where it's not inhibited by water, and Aquaman has incredible supervision, allowing him to see clearly in the dark and see things that other League members could never even hope to pick up on. Number 7. Summoning undead sea life. Some of our heroes' powers really only come to light or become useful in very specific situations, and some literally only appear in key events, never to be seen again. Now, an example of that kind of power for Aquaman came during the Brightest Day crossover event, which followed the awesome Blackest Night. In Blackest Night, Aquaman was one of a bunch of heroes and villains that were resurrected from the underworld to become members of the Black Lantern Corps. After their defeat, the remaining heroes and villains who returned to the land of the living had to now find their purpose. Aquaman was returned with the purpose of both saving Aqualad and preventing a war between Atlantis and Zabel. Arthur found that since he was resurrected to serve as a member of the Black Lantern Corps, he was now able to summon undead sea life to come to his aid. And trust me when I say that it is much cooler than you might think. Unfortunately though, it didn't really stick around for a long time. Number 6. Magic. Now before you get all up in arms, no, Aquaman is not any kind of otherworldly powerful magic wielder. He's no Zatanna, Constantine, or Dr. Fate, but still, a lesser known inclusion to his surprisingly long list of abilities is that Aquaman has the underlying potential to cast and manipulate the forces of magic. Now it's worth noting that normally he needs an item of power to channel this power through, like, oh I don't know, a trident for example. But on a few occasions he's been able to use magic without his trident or any kind of channeling object for that matter. This magical ability is bestowed on him simply by being a member of Atlantean royalty, but also by being blessed by both Poseidon and the Lady of the Lake, the overseer of the metaphysical realm known as the Secret Sea. He has shown the magical capability to shoot lightning from his trident, manipulate the weather, create jets of water out of his hands, and he has even been able to dehydrate some enemies to the point of sending them to the afterlife, which is an absolutely terrifying way to go. But thanks to his magical affinity, Arthur Curry is also resistant and resilient to the forces of magic too, which is something he actually has over Superman. So take that, you haters. Number 5. Speed Force clothing. So we just talked about how Barry uses electromagnetism to assemble his suit from his ring. Still defies so many things, but his counterpart, Wally West, sometimes he doesn't even have access to his suit for various different reasons. This isn't a problem though, as Wally West Flash can also make his costume directly out of the Speed Force. Now this ability does take some concentration and comes with the risk of the Flash ending up completely naked if he happens to get knocked out or something, but thinking about it, this means that speedsters can basically have the ability to make Speed Force constructs. But beyond just creating a temporary Flash costume, which looked awesome by the way, Wally has used this ability to reweave the molecules of his Kid Flash costume and construct a completely new Flash suit out of pure Speed Force energy. What does that even mean? I don't know. Do you know? Probably not. Number 4. Speed Bank. One very useful trick that both Wally West and Barry Allen have been shown to have is the ability to lend out and take away the Speed Force abilities from others. Basically, these two can act as something of a quote speed bank. That's what someone online called it at least. These two Flashes are so well connected to the Speed Force that they can give or take speed away from others. As with any ability that is much too overpowered, like Speed Force constructs for example, it uses a fair amount of quote concentration, leaving the Flash open to other attacks. But if they want to, the Flash can make anyone a temporary speedster to help in a fight, or he can take away the speed from people or objects, stopping them in their tracks. Or, if you go by the name Impulse, Wally West can freeze you in one pose and leave you in a museum alive but petrified for all times. Sounds scary when you say it like that, doesn't it? Number 3. Speed reading. Like I said before, those with the Speed Force move their minds, and I guess their eyes, about as fast as their bodies. As a byproduct of that, speedsters can also read entire books front to back in a matter of moments. This can be extremely helpful for superheroes in tight spots where they need information on a certain topic or need to read an instruction manual to help them out in specific situations. For both Barry Allen and Wally West though, they are actually unable to retain the knowledge of what they read at super speed. They read it, and then it will stay in their minds for a little while, but after about a day or so, it will be gone. But those two aren't the only speedsters around. Both Bart Allen and the original Flash, Jay Garrick, have both completely mastered this ability. These two speedsters can retain everything they read, and Jay has even bragged that he has read every single science book in the world and can recite them word for word. I kinda believe it. Big old nerd. Number 2, speed cloning. This one is something that has been seen before with other fast-moving superheroes. In most iterations of an ability like speed cloning, a character is simply moving so fast that they appear to be in more than one place at the same time. With the Flash though, it's just a tiny bit different. They do move so fast that they appear to be in two places at once, but that's because that's actually another them. The Flash is able to create duplicates of himself by very quickly entering and exiting the time stream, essentially creating versions of himself that are 1 second older or younger than the main one. These clones aren't actually clones, as in they aren't genetically grown beings identical to the host, but rather they are actual moments of the Flash that are just cut out from time and pasted into another moment. When he was Impulse, Bart Allen was the first one to ever do this, and it went really bad, as the hero then watched a time-displaced version of himself completely lose his life, which has to be absolutely terrifying to watch. And finally, in number 1, it's a super metabolism. This one does feel like a bit of a no-brainer, but I find that a speedster's metabolism doesn't actually come up very often, not in stories or anything really. Basically, every speedster has a faster metabolism than an average human, and that just makes sense, but it affects each of them differently. They all heal at a faster rate than normal people, but Barry Allen himself has shown the ability to just focus on an injury and heal it almost instantly. When his arm was completely crushed, it only took minutes for his arm to be completely healed. He was also able to quickly heal from the absolutely insane pressures of being 2,000 feet below the ocean, which dealt extreme damage to his body, and he was fine. Wally West at one point had a weaker connection to the Speed Force, and at that time, Wally would have to eat massive amounts of food just in order to keep his metabolism up and running, which to me sounds like an absolute nightmare. I love food, but could you imagine having to just chow down on a mountain of food, especially if it wasn't good food? Luckily, once he was able to fully connect to the Speed Force, that went away, but it's an interesting thing to note that in order to keep themselves up and running without the Speed Force, speedsters have to be super eaters. The super metabolism also unfortunately means that parties are celebrated sober only, but the Flash is virtually immune to any gases, so like, you win some, you lose some, you know what I mean?